Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be recapping basically the entire week of free agency so far, the first week, and also the Raiders signing Alexander Mattison today. So let's get into it. So I haven't made a video since Monday when the Raiders signed Wilkins and Gardner Minshew, among other things happened that day, but since then, kind of been slower moving for us. I'll start off with what happened back then. You know, Mika Robertson walked to the Lions, good for him, obviously. Like the player, but I was okay with moving on from him. Austin Hooper went to the Patriots as well. Already knew we kind of had to replace him at tight end 2. We signed Harrison Bryant. Now, that was the guy I actually wanted us to sign at tight end 2. A cheaper option, guy who can definitely work in the blocking game. That guy that can catch on touchdowns. You know, he had 10 in his career being the tight end 2 or even tight end 3 at times for the Browns. So I'm not mad at signing at all. That's actually what we wanted to sign at tight end 2 because I like Hooper, but, you know, it's okay with letting him walk. Harrison Bryant, I like the signing myself. He'll be the tight end 2 behind Michael Mayer. Then on Saturday, we re-signed both Adam Butler and John Jenkins at defensive tackle. Big fan of both of these moves. Guys that are key contributors for us last year. Need to get some more depth at defensive tackle because, of course, Wilkins is great, but need to get some more depth behind Christian Wilkins. So Adam Butler, productive in the passing game last year in terms of pass rush. John Jenkins, great in run defense. Somehow had his best career year at 34 years old. So I'm not sure how that's even possible, but, you know, good for him. Like having both in the back. They also all reunite with each other. Wilkins, you know, Adam Butler and John Jenkins, as well as their defensive coordinator was Patrick Graham in 2019. And even their defensive line coach was, you know, Rob Leonard, who's our defensive line coach now. Maybe he was an assistant back then, but, you know, with us, he's a defensive line coach now. Wasn't with Miami previously. But I like that move. Get some more depth at defensive tackle. News came out yesterday that we are having Tre'Davious White in for a visit. I'm a fan of signing him. I do want us to sign him. Obviously, a lot of potential. You know, the guy used to be a top 3, top 5 unanimous corner. So, has dealt with some injuries, right? Torn Achilles last year in week 4. In 2021, he tore his ACL in week 12. So, 2 big injuries, obviously. But outside of that, there's not really been much of an issue, I'd say, with him. You know, but of course, taking on those 2 injuries, you know, really affect how you do as an athlete. But that is a cause for concern, obviously. So, if we do sign him, I would still like to sign a different guy in free agency as a depth piece before we go into the draft and hopefully draft another one at one point in the draft. I would like to sign Tre'Davious White, you know, veteran and has played very good football in past years. I'm a big fan of Tre'Davious White. Obviously, the injuries are holding him back, or else he'd be, you know, the most sought after free agent easily if he was still in his prime. But 29, he can still play, just has to stay healthy. But again, I want to restate that if we do get Tre'Davious White, I'd be happy, but I want more depth behind him. And lastly, today, the Raiders signed Alexander Mattison, a guy who actually wanted us to sign as well, same as Harrison Bryant, a running back 2 to pair with Zamir White. I think Zamir White's a better running back at this point. At least has more, you know, he's more of a, you know, he's more on the upward trajectory, I'll say, in terms of what he just did at the end of the year. Alexander Mattison not exactly play the way the Vikings expected him to. Obviously, for his first 4 years, he's pretty involved as the running back 2 behind Dalvin Cook, and he actually played pretty solid. But they decided that they want to let Dalvin Cook walk this offseason, which honestly, like, Dalvin Cook was not that good on the Jets anyway, but they thought that Mattison would be their guy running back 1 after being a running back 2 for 4 years, and he did not play the way they thought he would. So obviously, you know, they ended up cutting him, and now he's here with the Raiders. This is the guy that I wanted at running back 2. I wanted to get a vet to pair with Zamir White and Amir Abdullah and get a running back in the draft. Like, think about it, right? And I'm a fan of Alexander Mattison as well. Again, not better than Zamir White right now, in my opinion, so he won't be the running back 1, or else then there would be a problem. But think about this, right? The running back room, we draft the running back in the 3rd round, the 4th round, the 5th round, one of those ranges. Very deep running back draft class. So you got Zamir White, Alexander Mattison, that rookie running back, and Amir Abdullah, all for about the same price as Josh Jacobs. I mean, the contract has not come out on Mattison as I'm recording this video, but I would expect like 1 year, 3.25, 1 year, 4 million, somewhere around there. Pretty much same as Harrison Bryant, as I mentioned, but, you know, not expensive at all. And Amir Abdullah's back for 1 year, 1.85 million, so not very expensive contracts. If you build a nice offensive line on the right side, because it is already developed on the left side, but if you do build it on the right side, we can have a very good offensive line, and running backs can do pretty well no matter who they are, right? I don't think a running back can carry an offensive line, but I think an offensive line can carry a running back. But if we have the offensive line in place, I think a rookie running back can easily come in and be productive, along with Zamir White and Mattison. At least through the ground, Amir Abdullah is more of a scat back, as we know. A couple more things I'll throw out there is I do want us to sign a veteran receiver. Of course, last offseason we signed a lot of them, but now we don't have that much of them left, right? A lot of them are free agents. Of course, the top 3 we know, Devontae, Jacoby, Trey Tucker, hopefully the 3 starters there. And then have DJ Turner back. He's more of a special teams guy anyway. Christian Wilkerson is back. Not a big fan of him anyway, but I want to get a depth receiver to use as like the 4th or 5th guy. DeAndre Carter's still a free agent, but the guy I think they might bring in is Quez Watkins, speed guy out of Philly. Jalen Guyton is another option from the Chargers, kind of a speed receiver that obviously used to be with Tom Telesco with the Chargers, but the guy I think we would sign as like a speed guy is Quez Watkins, who's a fast guy, has had pretty solid production. This year kind of dipped, but I think he'd be a solid 4th receiver, 5th receiver. So I do want to get some wide receiver depth. And offensive line, I think we should re-sign Greg Van Roten at right guard, which I already said before. Again, depth piece. I want it to be a depth piece. I don't think we have the offensive line depth. Just go into the draft and hope for the best. Like, we have to get some more depth on the offensive line, especially at guard. At right guard, I would re-sign Greg Van Roten and try and draft a new right guard and potentially right tackle, because Darren Munford is people are high on. I'm not as high on Darren Munford as other people, so I want to draft both the right guard and a right tackle, but at least have some depth at guard back on our team before we enter the draft. Anyway, that's kind of my entire week 1 of free agency recap, as well as my reaction to the Raiders signing Alexander Mattison. So I'm Arto, and thank you for watching.